Have you ever wondered, what if the best AI wasn't locked away behind some corporate wall? Well, today, we're diving into something that's doing just that. It's called DeepSeek V3.2, and this open source model isn't just knocking on the door of the tech giants, it's actually starting to win.
But let's back up a second and talk about a question that honestly has been bothering a lot of us. As AI keeps getting smarter and smarter, are we heading towards a future where the most powerful versions are completely controlled by just a handful of big companies?
And for a little while there, it really looked like the answer was, yeah, pretty much. A huge performance gap started to open up. You had these closed proprietary models, the ones from the big guys, just taking off like a rocket ship. Meanwhile, the open source community, kind of like this turtle here, felt like it was being left in the dust.
But that old story might be about to change, because a new model just entered the scene from a team called DeepSeek AI. And believe me, it's not just a small update. It's a true contender, ready to shake things up.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a game changer, we have to understand the problem that we're trying to solve. Let's dig into what was actually holding open source AI back.
It really came down to three major hurdles. First, you had inefficient architecture. Think of it like this. The old models would just choke when you gave them a really long document. Second, there was a serious lack of post-training. Not enough time and money was spent fine-tuning the models after they learned the basics. And third, they just weren't very good agents. They struggled to use tools, like searching the web or writing code, to figure things out for themselves.
So there you have it. Three big problems. And DeepSeek AI's strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Tackle all three head-on with three very specific solutions, all packed into one new model. So for that first problem, the inefficient architecture, they came up with something called DeepSeek Sparse Attention, or DSA for short. And the way it works is pretty cool. Imagine you give an AI a giant book. The old way was to make it read every single word. But DSA, it's like a super smart librarian who instantly flips to the exact 2 or 3 paragraphs that contain the answer you need. It saves an incredible amount of time and energy.
And this isn't just theoretical. Look at what this means in the real world. This chart shows you the cost to process 1 million tokens, which are just bits of words. That tall orange bar, that's the old model. See how expensive it gets? Now look at the green line for DeepSeek V3.2. It's almost flat. The bottom line here is just wow. This makes high-end AI so much cheaper for developers and researchers to actually use.
Okay, on to problem number 2, the lack of refinement. Let's use a school analogy. The initial training, that's like cramming for an exam, just memorizing facts from a textbook. But post-training, that's like doing homework and practice exams to actually learn how to use that information to solve problems. DeepSeek went all in on this, dedicating a huge chunk of their budget, more than 10% of the entire pre-training cost, just to this refinement stage. They were teaching it how to think.
And for that third problem, the weak agent skills, this is my favorite part. They basically built an AI training gym, like a digital obstacle course. This system automatically generated over 85,000 unique complex problems. It forced the AI to learn how to use tools, how to search the web, write code, interact with other software to get the job done just like a human would.
All right, so they built this new model that's supposed to be faster, smarter, and way more capable. Sounds great on paper, right? But the real question is, how does it actually perform? It's time to put it to the test and see how it stacks up against the big names. And the results are, well, they're honestly kind of shocking. Just look at this. On a really difficult math benchmark, you can see DeepSeek V3.2 going toe-to-toe with the unreleased, next-gen models from the biggest players in the game. We're talking about models that are supposed to be the best of the best. This isn't just about closing the gap anymore. This is competing on the main stage. But they didn't just stop there. The team thought, what if we just went for it? So they created this super-powered experimental version called Speciale. The whole point was to throw the budget out the window and just see what the absolute peak performance of this architecture could be.
And what did that specialty version do? Oh, not much. Just achieved gold medal level performance at the International Mathematical Olympiad. Only one of the toughest math competitions in the world.
And it didn't stop at math. It did the same thing at the International Olympiad in Informatics. That's the absolute peak of competitive programming for high schoolers. And we're not talking about just squeaking by to get a medal. Look at these numbers. A 35 out of 42 in the Math Olympiad, a 492 out of 600 in Informatics, plus gold medals in other major global finals. This is undeniable world-class performance. It proves this new architecture is the real deal.
Okay, so this is all incredibly impressive from a technical standpoint. But let's bring it back down to earth. What does this actually mean for you, for me, for developers and researchers? Why should we care that a powerful open source model like this exists?
Well, it matters a lot. For starters, it puts pressure on the big guys. Competition is good for everyone. It also means that a small startup or even a single person in their garage can now access the kind of AI power that used to belong only to giant corporations. For scientists, it's a huge deal because they can actually get under the hood and see how it works, which is crucial for safety and understanding. It just fosters a more open, transparent way of developing AI.
Now, let's be real. It's not perfect, and the creators are very upfront about that. Since it was trained on a bit less data, its general knowledge of, say, pop culture or history might not be as deep as some of the others. And sometimes it has to think out loud a bit more to get to the right answer. So yeah, there's a bit of a trade-off there, but it's an understandable one.
But here's the headline, the big takeaway from all of this. That massive gap we talked about between the closed corporate models and open source AI, it's closing, fast. For the very first time, a top-tier, world-class AI model is out there for anyone to download, to study, to build on. And that leaves us with one heck of an exciting question to think about. Now that this power belongs to everyone, what are we all going to build with it?